Come down. Ooh, you make my high come down. Always tripping when you come around. Never have to cut you out like right now. You see, I don't have to drive me. You can say that for your mama. Maybe you should smoke some. Me try to marijuana. I was never you good. The vibe was straight. Showed you a couple of things and they feel strange. I treated you right. Everything was a gift from a time to your bag and the color on your lip.
Welcome to the Seahawks Man to Man podcast, powered by Blue Wire. Shout out to the new company. My name is Michael Sean Dugar. You guys can follow me on whatever Elon Musk is calling that app these days. My @ name has not changed. It's also bang right there under my finger at Mike Dugar. Make sure you listen or not listen. Make sure you like, subscribe, download, comment, rate, review, whatever it is. All the good buttons, press them on our YouTube channel, Seahawks Man to Man, Seahawks Man, the number 2 man. It's also our handle on all of our other platforms. That's Instagram, TikTok. Hit those buttons for us, even if you're just an audio listener. It just means a lot to have that support for the show, helps grow the show. And they're hot right now, so we're putting out content. So appreciate the love and support on that in advance. Thank you. Chris, go ahead and talk to him.
What is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Christopher Kidd. You can follow me on Blue Sky and Twitter at CKIDD206, and that's CKid206.
All right. So this week, instead of one big thing, because they got a bye week and the game itself that they just played against the Niners may not be as instructive, we wanted to hear from you guys because there's a lot kind of going on in the Seahawks world right now. Charles has got extended. They could lose Kubiak, could lose Aiden Dur, could somebody else get extended. They've got some stuff we can talk about with heading into the playoffs. There's a lot more than just, all right, let's look at the tape from the Niners game. So we're going to do a mailbag. Heard from you guys. We got some voicemails. We got a lot of questions as we expected because you guys are the best. Seahawks fans are the best. Love you guys. So yeah, we'll do that. We'll go through that for the show. And then we'll probably do some film on Friday or something like that to just get back in our regular routine. Maybe look at some stuff that'll be important for the playoffs. And then next week, get right back into the regular rhythm. We find out who they're playing. I can hit up a guest who covers that team, and we'll go from there. So without further ado, let's start with what y'all got.
Will the Seahawks be able to sign Ken Walker? He is a free agent next year. And should they? Penny, Seattle.
I got to say, I think that was our first lady call. First woman that called in. I'm pretty sure.
Was it? Oh, wow.
I'm pretty sure.
You would know better. You keep track better. So
Thank you, Penny. That's love.
Wow,
so, ladies, I know we got a lot of lady listeners. We see the questions. We see the feedback. So let's. I want more women to call in, like Penny.
So,
shout out to Penny in Seattle.
Yeah, big shout out. Okay, I want to let's do this because let's address the should they part because the will they, and we got some other contract questions too. The can they or whatever? Do they have the means? The answer is always yes. You can keep whoever you want, with the exception of like maybe 2 franchises, the Bengals being one of them. I can't even think of another right now because the Raiders don't have a cash flow problem like they kind of had in the past. Every team is flush with cash for the most part. Like, so you can push money into the future. They're all billionaires now. Very few teams are still like true mom and pop organization. Like the Bengals are that way. Like they sometimes got to let guys go because like we just don't have the money, to afford the signing bonuses or whatever. So for the Seahawks, Jody Allen's got it. Like she can push some void years or whatever. So let's just address the should they part of this with Ken Walker, who yes is one of many impending unrestricted free agents this offseason. As they just showed with Charles Cross, who I believe we'll talk about here later, they can start extending these guys now if they want. So Chris, I'm torn on this. I don't know if they should. It feels like if this is going to be the usage that how they have him, then I would imagine if he's basically just going to be the starter in name, but part of a timeshare and application, then I think that it honestly might be just in both parties' interest to let him walk.
I'm curious as where K9 stands on this. Because let's say they win a Super Bowl, right? And they continue to do this. Does K9 want to stay a Seahawk and do this because he's been healthy? He's played every single game this season. So them limiting his carries has worked for one side of the thing. The other thing is, well, does K9 want the opportunity to be a top running back in the league? Like, what are his incentives in being a running back, right? Is he okay with being a great teammate and sacrificing, which he's been all season? I don't think you've heard anything about him wanting more carries or just being, I guess the word would be being someone that just aggressive. Like, yo, I'm one of the best running backs out here. Why am I not getting opportunities in the red zone? Why am I not getting this? Why am I not getting that? Having those rumblings in the locker room. You haven't heard any of that. So I guess the question comes down to, K9, what do you want to do? Are you cool with the Seahawks giving you a Seattle discount and you returning and sharing and splitting? And then assuming Kenny McIntosh makes a full recovery and he is explosive and he is just as good as when the Seahawks took him and he shows his worth. How does that all play out? So I think the question is, what does K9 want? Because I think at this point, if it works and they win a Super Bowl, why not just stay? Especially if you're all about winning. Obviously, K9 wants to max out and get as much money as possibly can. I ain't even mad at that. But then part of me is thinking, what if he just wants to win another Super Bowl and be a part of a winning culture and an organization that puts the team first and he's okay with that? I don't know how many players are like that, but maybe K9's one of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that either. K9's pretty young, but when you're a running back, you really just only get the one shot to cash in.
Yep.
Like it's got to be pretty much now. Like there's no lucrative third contract coming. Here's the thing though, if I'm his agent or even him, I'm like, okay, am I really, how much are we actually splitting? Because then it's like he's just, like I said, he's a starter in application, but he's not the third down back because that's Zach because they trust him more in pass protection. And then if they have him on third down, he's probably just leaking out, catching maybe catching a ball in the flat or something like that. But even then, they do that a lot with Zach. He's not the goal line back. He's not the red zone back. So then it's like, okay, you're damn near the backup, So I don't even see if that's how the org views you, or if that's how the coaching staff views you. I'm not even sure that it's in their best interest to pay you for the backup. Even if you're a really good backup. You guys know how I feel about Ken on this show. But I just think if I was advising him, unless he says, if I was his agent and Ken says to me, get me the best possible deal to stay in Seattle, then I would just do that. But he was like, all right, where can I get the best deal so I can also get busy, on the field? I'd be like, well, Ken, let's call. And I would just go, run down some teams kind of looking right now. It's not a lot of obvious spots. I would say maybe let's call New Orleans. Maybe we call Washington. I don't remember what happened to James Conner. Maybe you call Arizona. Let's see. Probably not calling the Raiders. You can call Cleveland. Maybe they just drafted 2 running backs, but their coach is gone. So who knows? Here's the one.
Cowboys.
Chris, well, the problem is the Cowboys don't pay anybody, so you can call them. But I don't think they don't pay any external free agents. I don't think they've given an external free agent above $5 million since I want to say maybe 10 years or something like that. I saw that. But here's the answer right here, Chris. You call the Chiefs. Call the Chiefs and say, hey, how would you like Ken Walker in that offense?
Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus is right. You could probably sell them on winning. You're about to play with Mahomes, like that. That's a winning organization as well. You're not just like, all right, let me go to the Titans, and get a bag. No, you're not. You're probably not gonna. I wouldn't even advise Ken to do that. It's like, although I think that is closer to the part of the country he's from. I think he's from Memphis. I looked that up, but so maybe Tennessee would be one. Like go closer to home, get a bag. Depending on who they choose as the coach. But there's not a ton of other opportunities that make sense. Houston could be one. Maybe call Houston. But yeah, it just depends, like you said, on what he wants. But if they continue this split, I feel like he's good enough to be featured somewhere. So I would call teams like the Chiefs, Houston. Maybe the Titans if he wants to be closer to home. So obviously, K9's from Arlington, Tennessee. So yeah. Closer to home. That's probably what I would advise if I was his agent, unless he says get me the best deal to stay here, which players sometimes do.
Hey, Mike and Chris, much love. This is Jimmy in Seattle. So this offseason, both Devin Witherspoon and JSN are eligible for contract extensions. My questions are, which one of the two do you think is going to be the hardest negotiation? And my second question is, do you think they will get one, both, or none done this offseason? All right, thanks, guys.
I do think, appreciate the question. I would anticipate, like right now, today on January 6th, a national holiday for some, that they would get both of them done. I think the Jax one is pretty much a no-brainer. Like, if you're the organization and you're like, all right, we love Jax, we think Jax is gonna get better. Jax is like 23 years old or something like that. Like you just do this now. You do it before the Rams pay Puka. You do it before the Ravens pay Zay Flowers. I think you don't have to worry about the Chargers paying Quentin Johnston, who's the other first round receiver. And in his draft class, there's another one. I believe it's Jordan Addison was also drafted in the first round, all around the same place as the guys I just named. You want to get ahead of all those just in case one of those GMs does something stupid. And yeah, you lock up your guy. That one should be a no-brainer. The Spoon one is a little bit more interesting because I feel like the organization, Chris, if they get into like a battle with Spoon's agent, although he has the accolades, he's a 3-time Pro Bowler, I felt you could get more nitpicky with like impact plays and interceptions and PBUs and stuff like that. If Spoon goes in there and says, or his agent says, hey man, my guy's a 3-time Pro Bowler, he's this age, we want Derek Stingley money. I have to look up what Derek Stingley makes, but it's quite a bit. Now, maybe they can push back and say Sting's all pro. Sting's had this number of interceptions. Sting travels with number 1 receivers, which he doesn't always, but you can trust him to do so. Like it's a proven method. Like then you can get into a debate. I don't think there's a debate with Jax. Jax young, good. He ain't a headache. He didn't even clean up his image for you. He didn't cut his hair beforehand. Like he's making all the right moves. He's just getting better every year. So yeah, Sting makes $30 million a year, as Chris just let me know. So yeah, if you're Spoon's agent, you're like, hey, 3-time Pro Bowler, I just helped y'all get to the bowl or get the number 1 seed, whatever it is. You can maybe argue a little bit. Not to say that argument is right, but I just know how agents work. They ain't gonna go in there and be like, all right, Seahawks offered this, let me go take it to Spoon. They can be like, no, let's fight a little bit over this cash. So I would think they get both done. But it does feel like, Chris, you can argue a little bit. Like if Spoon goes in for the record-setting money, it's like, I don't know. If I'm the team, by the way, because teams do that. Teams they didn't want to pay Sherm, the all-pro, top of the market, stuff right away. Had to go in there and debate for it. So I don't know. Do you think he would get top of the market money if he asks for it right now?
Probably not. I think you need an all-pro to get the top of the market. Granted, he's been 2-time Pro Bowler. That's great.
3 times.
He's
3 times.
Excuse me, 3 times. My bad. I keep forgetting how many years he's been in the league. My goodness, time is flying. But I think you need an all-pro in there at least 1 or twice, 2 times. You get that all-pro in there, okay, now we're talking. And I think he's on his way. But we're talking about the extension. So he wants that. If he's going to ask for that, the Seahawks are going to come back and be like, well, we need some all-pros. And that's the situation where they wouldn't want to guarantee all that money if he hasn't proven it yet. Granted, he's going upward. He's been healthy, although this season he got banged up a little bit. So can you rely on him next season to continue to keep going up and stay healthy? And he plays a position where, I mean, damn, they're treating like a Nicky Memori. Now, granted, with Nicky Memori, he's now playing a lot more outside, so maybe that will prolong his ability to stay healthy for a 17-game season. But that comes into question. So they would probably throw a lot of incentives in there, if anything, like, yo, you do this, we'll throw in an extra $1 million. If you are healthy for all 17 games, here's another $1 million or $500,000. I think it would be heavy incentives, and that's where he can get the most bang for his buck, because when I look at it, he's a really good player, but I think the Seahawks would want to see all pro to give him top 5 money, to give him, $27 million a year type money, which I'm sure he would have no problem asking for, because you turn on the tape, he's making plays in the backfield, stuff in the run, locking up receivers. He's an animal out there. You can't stop him. He can't be stopped. He is dangerous. So everything tells you, yeah, pay him top dollar, but there are other factors that come into play. So if I'm the Seahawks, start having conversations now, try to get it done. Just see where his head's at. See where the agent his head's at. See if you can catch him at, I don't know, 20 mil a year. Is that
Well,
like
let me
lowballing?
read you the top 5. I think this will help. Let me read you the top 5. Then I got it pulled up on Over the Cap. So Sauce is number 1, 30.1 million. This is all per year
Crazy.
averages.
Crazy.
Sauce is number 1. Sting, like we mentioned, is second. JC Horn is third at 25 mil. I think he just signed that deal too. Jalen Ramsey, I think, got a reworked deal or something, but he's like top 4 at 24.1 million. And then PS2, Patrick Surtain, the second, is at 24 million. So there's your top 5. And then Deron Bland and AJ Terrell, Denzel Ward are right under that. Now, JC is an interesting one. JC is very similar to Spoon in that he was also a high pick. I think he was the 8th pick in 2021. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler, but I think he was only a 1-time Pro Bowler at the time of the deal. And he got top of the market money. So then I guess that's why this is an interesting exercise, because you can see how the agents and how the teams would push and pull one another. Because on one hand, you'd be like, yeah, man, your guy ain't even an all-pro, he's top of the league. Why are we giving you that? Well, it's like, well, why the Panthers give JC that? Because they believe that he could get there. So do you believe in my client or not? I think it'd be a really good debate. But to answer the question, I feel strongly that I don't know what they will do. We'll have to see. But if I were them, the smart business move is to lock up Jax and Spoon now, just like they did with Charles. Like, don't play around with your first round picks. Like, if they prove to be worth it, then invest in them. And again, I think both of them are pretty young. Jax didn't stay in college that long, so he's barely old enough to rent a car without the extra insurance. And Spoon is only 25, same age as Charles. So yeah, those are both no-brainers to me. Jax is a no-brainer, top of the market. And then Spoon, I'm probably going like 4 years, 25 or something like that, 3 years, 75, whatever he wants to do there.
And it's wild because you look at Deron Bland. I think Spoon's better than him, and he's making 36
He's way
mil.
better.
So I'm thinking, like, to your point, they're gonna compare that and say, look what Deron Bland's getting. He gets barbecued all the time on national TV, and he's making that. Come on, man, you can give my guy A, B, and C. So that's gonna be. I wish I was a fly in the room for those negotiations, because I'm looking at this list of corners. Paulson Adebo, 34 mil. Like, what are we talking about here? So that. Good luck, Seahawks. I'm sure you'll figure it out to pay these guys, but the price of these corners is only going up. So I am definitely intrigued to see how this will play out.
It's Jeff from Tacoma. Big fan of the show. I just wanted to ask, why do you guys think that Seattle and Mike McDonald's defense has had so much more success against Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers versus Sean McVay and the Rams, considering they're both based out of the same coaching tree? I figured the easy answer is Matt Stafford, but I feel like there is a lot more to it than that. So just kind of wondering about that. Thanks, guys.
No, appreciate the question. This is an excellent question. And it is more complicated than just one team has Matthew Stafford. It's a schematic thing. Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay get lumped into the same boat in terms of offensive philosophy. They're actually very different. The simple, without getting too in the weeds and doing a whole X's and O's show, I would say the way I would describe the difference is Sean McVay, at least with Matthew Stafford, does a lot of, all right, Matthew, when they show this, let's do this. Then if they do that, let's do this. If then, very similar to Mike McDonald's defense. Like, all right, if they're 4 strong this way, then this is our call. If they motion the tight end over here and then bring this receiver over here, we got a 2x2, then now this is the call. And you can see all that communication between Ty and Kobe and Julian and all that stuff in earnest when those motions all happen. Whereas Shanahan's offense is a lot more of like Shanahan playing Madden and controlling the quarterback, where it's like, all right, once we say hike, no matter what, the play call is so good based on what we've designed, based on what they run, this guy's going to be open. And if this guy's not, that guy's open. And if he's not, check it down, move on. It's like the scheme is the superpower. Whereas McVay and Stafford, they kind of feel like they have more answers. They have more autonomy, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And when you play a guy like Mike McDonald, it behooves you as the quarterback to have some autonomy if you can handle it, because they're just going to be throwing stuff at you. Like Nick might be coming, Spoon might be coming, Fat Guy might drop, Kobe might come from depth, and they may show cover 0 and not commit. It's just so much. It's like playing Brian Flores a little bit, or Wink Martindale, or some of these guys who are just chaos ball. Rex Ryan, Todd Bowles, even a little bit of Vance Joseph as well. And you want to have answers for that. It's not just always, all right, the answer's built into the scheme. That's the Shanahan thing. Kubiak's doing the same thing, where it's like, hey, I know they're blitzing 7 guys, and we only have 6 in protection. Well, I give you a riddle here, quarterback. What does that mean? That means ding, ding, ding. 1 guy's open. Find him. A good example of that in this scheme is the Bucks game, where Sam threw a pick on the final play. I forget who was open. I think it was Torrey up to Sam's right. They blitzed more guys than the Seahawks had blocking. Sam just tried to check it down to Cooper, but his answer was already built into the scheme. It was Torrey up top. He didn't go there, threw a pick, and that's why Sam was like, that's my fault. It doesn't matter if the ball bounced off a guy's helmet or whatever, and that part was fluky. Sam's like, I made the wrong decision based on the scheme. So that is the difference, because Mike has pretty much figured out, like, if that's your scheme, you're cooked. The Falcons run the same version of that scheme as well, whether with Kirk or Michael Penix. It's the same idea, where it's like, all right, wide zone, hit your back foot, here's the answer, throw it. The Rams don't really work like that. And that's why when Sean McVay put up 30 on Mike McDonald in Baltimore, he hung 37 on him. This like he can score on this guy, even he threw for 300 yards or something like that in the overtime game in 2024 here in Seattle. So that is hopefully that all makes sense. There's some more that goes into it as well, particularly how both teams handle the run game. But the simplified version is, Shanahan's the superstar of his scheme, whereas the quarterback's brain and their philosophy is different in McVay's scheme, and it allows you to deal with all the stuff that McDonald throws at you, whereas if Brock doesn't have a guy open, he's cooked, as we've seen in the last few times that Brock has played Mike McDonald.
Yeah, I think also the weapons help too. I mean, you have 2 of the best receivers in the game on the Rams, where unfortunately George Kittle's a really great tight end. Brandon Ayuk didn't even play all season. Jennings has shown himself to be a formidable wide receiver in the NFL. So I just think personnel helps a lot, but I also think that, Sean McVay, he has answers, but you also have a guy back there and at quarterback and Matthew Stafford that can make any throw at any angle. He can no-look you. So sometimes it's like, you know what, Matthew? What are you seeing out there, bud? I'm seeing 2 safeties high. I think I can get this route here, or I want to test this safety. I don't know if there's just so much that goes into it, and they're processing so much. I think sometimes it just comes down to how good is your quarterback? And that relationship between McVay and Stafford is so elite. You would just think that nothing can break it. But somehow Mike McDonald's getting closer and closer to snapping that. Although Puka and Matthew had a really good day in overtime against the Seahawks. I think it's just a chess match between really 2 good coaches that are just trying to best each other the best way they can. And Mike McDonald's really hard on himself. Sometimes he'll say, I made a dumb call there and put my defense in a bad position. I think Sean McVay is that same type of guy. I put my guys in really tough situations. I need to be better. Both of those guys do a really good job of being accountable for some of their play calling and what they do wrong. Whereas Kyle Shanahan, as Mike alluded to, the answers are there. Either you make the read or you don't. And what's the result? And then sometimes that can get very tricky when you look at a Mike McDonald defense. There's so much happening that maybe there is nothing there. So now what? Your quarterback just has to figure it out on his own, and you're just leaving him to dry. So there's pros and cons to it, but I do understand from the standpoint of why it's been successful for the Rams versus the Niners, who have now kind of been struggling per se against the Seahawks. Even that first matchup, the week 1, it's not as if the Niners were killing them. They're, a couple of plays here and there. Reek gave up. That's just mental error. Reek had an opportunity to make 2 plays, and he got beat. 1 for a touchdown and 1 for a double move that ended up being an explosive. You erase those plays, they don't have too many other plays that are as explosive, right? They probably don't score 17 points. You're talking about a 13-10 victory for the Seahawks in that flip. And you saw the difference when everybody's locked in, the defense is playing really well. You saw what the Seahawks defense can do. This next one is from Chris Lee. The narrative on Sam was that he's good, but needed to show that he could do it in the big game. He's done it twice now. What have you guys learned about Sam? And if the run game keeps clicking like this, how will that open up the passing game?
Yeah, I don't think I can't speak for Chris here. I'll just speak for me. I haven't learned much about Sam. He's been the same guy. And I've said this a lot, over the last, I don't know, 8, 9 months. And I'll keep saying it. Sam falls into this bucket of quarterbacks who, you know what? I'll shrink the bucket because, this is the new way I want to frame this. So I don't keep repeating myself because that's boring podcasting. Sam is in the bucket of quarterbacks who are just good enough that if you have them at quarterback as your starter, your games in December and January will matter. He's also in the bucket, as in the same little Venn diagram of quarterbacks. When you get to the game that matters, or the games plural, you would probably like to put as little on his shoulders as possible. And I want to make very clear that's okay. That bucket of guys is very wide. That is Jalen Hurts is in this bucket. Jared Goff is in this bucket. These are guys who have been to Super Bowls. Who else? Help me out, Chris. Who else would we say is in this in this bucket? Guys, it's a bigger group than I think people.
Brock Purdy.
Ooh, I actually might be a little higher on Brock than that, just because he can move and shake now. And we've seen. I think have we seen Purdy play a bad playoff game? I don't think so. I think he's thrown like one pick in a playoff game. I think maybe you can look that up. Purdy's numbers are actually very good.
What about Jordan Love?
Yeah, thank you. There's another one. Jordan Love, perfect example. Jordan Love, really good quarterback. He can get you to the playoffs, and when you get there, he might even win you that first. That second game is like, all right, Jordan, hand the ball to Josh. We're gonna get you in as many third and shorts as possible, so you can't do nothing dumb. And I don't say it that way, but that's the idea. And I think Sam's in there. I think the two that really come to mind are Goff and Jalen, because we've seen teams built around their weaknesses and they've been able to just cook. I've seen Goff lead the best offense in the league at least like 3 or 4 different times on 2 different franchises, and he has some talent. But when you do get to the big joint, you really want to be able to have everything else around Goff be great. And Jalen's the same way. When you have Jalen Hurts as your quarterback, your games are gonna matter in December, almost guaranteed. In January too. But okay, when we get there, how much do we want to put on Jalen's plate? Now, obviously, eventually you can put a lot on Jalen's plate. His 2 Super Bowls are the best games of his career, even though he lost the first one. But that's Sam. That's okay. But I think that if you thought Sam was anything other than that, you were bugging, which is why I haven't learned anything. I've always, not always, but the Minnesota thing, I saw that. Actually, else in that bucket, Chris, is Baker. Baker's probably in that bucket.
I was going to say Baker, but I thought you'd be, just as you were higher on Brock Purdy, I thought you were going to be higher on Baker.
Yeah, I'd put Baker in that, and I would put CJ Stroud in that as well, where it's like the Texans are doing the same thing in Houston the Seahawks are doing here, by the way. Our defense is nasty. Our kicker's good. I don't know how good their special teams is, but like, hey, quarterback, make a couple throws to our best guy, which is for them, it's Nico, and run the ball and we'll be straight. Like that's their plan over there in Houston. It's the same thing as Seattle. So yeah, Sam's that guy. And because I think that's okay. That's okay. And you're getting him at a that guy price too, at like $30 million or whatever. There are some teams who are paying $50 million for that guy, for a Trevor Lawrence, for a Jalen Hurts. Lamar Jackson might even be that at this point. He can't even get to the bowl. So that's what I don't learn that about Sam, but I think that's who Sam is to me. I don't know about you.
I think we should just summarize it as game changers and game managers. That's really simple. A game changer is someone that you're going to put out there and you just say, go play. We need you to just do what you do. And if you do what you do, we win the game. A game manager goes out there and he makes sure you get the ball to your running back. You don't turn it over. You just take care of the football and everything else will go its way. It's really simple. You do that, good things happen. As Mike has mentioned, when you don't turn the football over, Sam, the Seahawks will probably win that football game. You know what he did last Saturday against the Niners, played an efficient game, missed a couple opportunities, but he didn't turn the football over, and the Seahawks walked out of there 13-0. Could have been 19 if Myers knocked in his field goals. Neither here nor there, he didn't. So I think that's what it comes down to. Game managers versus game changers. Jalen Hurts.
Where would you put Lamar in that?
He's a game changer. His what he's able to do on the field is it keeps them in games. The fact that Zay Flowers has fumbled, the fact that Mark Andrews drops a pass, all these things that, sure, Lamar he had some bad plays, but he's also the reason why he brought them back into the games. I'm talking about previous years. Hell, even this last game against the Steelers, he made some really clutch throws, and then the defense forgot how to play defense. Straight up. Dude's falling on double moves, and then your kicker, a guy that's been money all season, comes up short. Like, sure, you would want Lamar to be even better. I get it. He threw a pick in that game. I understand that. But if you don't have Lamar, the Ravens aren't even a playoff team. Like, you just erase Lamar. What he brings to the table, running and throwing, because he's improved in the passing aspect. He is just such a game changer. You have to game plan for him. When you go into a locker room, and I remember you talked about it because I remember watching it. It was Mike Tomlin in the AFC North, or excuse me, is it the North? I think I'm bugging.
Yes. Yeah. They're in the North.
Is the AFC North, and they were talking about going up against the Bengals, and they circled number one. Number one, we got to do this, we got to do that. He's a bad mother, shut your mouth. The whole thing. They do the same thing with Lamar Jackson. We got to contain. We got to run, use the pass rush lanes. We have to make him be a passer and hope to God he just throws us the football. And we have to have sticky coverage outside. All these things go into game planning to stop him and that offense, including now Derrick Henry. But when he gets injured and a whole bunch of other issues with that team, it just, as you can see, they're out the playoffs. But I know Lamar has not come up big in the playoffs. For me, he is still a game changer. He is still one of the elite quarterbacks in this league. He just is really on some bad luck. You know how the Niners have bad luck with injuries and they can't stay healthy? Lamar just has bad luck with things just not happening the way they should. Guys dropping passes, guys fumbling at the one, kicker missing a field goal to send you to the postseason. He's just had a bunch of bad luck, and he's also had his own bad luck of they got destroyed by the Tennessee Titans with Derrick Henry, I think in 2021, was it?
2019.
2019. So still a game changer. He's just on some unfortunate things that has happened in his career.
Yeah, I'd add one more to the list. Dak is in that list as well, where it's like Dak can get you to where your games matter. But when I get deep in the playoffs, I'd rather just have him just be able to hand it off, play good defense. I think that's another guy. And again, he makes $60 million. So that's who Sam is. He's one of those guys. I think there's really only a few guys where I'm just like, roll the ball. I don't even put Lamar there because of his playoff record. But
I feel you. Josh Allen, another guy, you just roll it out and, hey, man, do what you got to do.
Yeah, I didn't see Josh ball, you know. So yeah, that's okay. I think that's where Sam is. As long as the Seahawks know that's who Sam is, I think they'll be okay.
This is from Suvir. Do you think this team would be in the same position if DK and Gino were still on the team?
So I want you to read the back half of this question too, because I think that's important, because that shapes my answer a little bit.
Yeah, with Nick Emanwari. So obviously DK trade, the Seahawks got Nick Emanwari. So we'll still consider that. But for this purpose, let's go ahead and, for whatever reason, the Seahawks still have Nick Emanwari, DK, and Gino.
They probably could have traded, because they could have used their 3rd round pick and like their 2nd round pick and then something else to go up and get Nick. So it's feasible. It just would have been more expensive in a different trade. But yeah, would they be in a similar position? I don't know, maybe. I think what matters in that context is, do they get paid or are they happy here? Because DK said he felt like an outsider. And if that's the case, then yeah, you should go. Gino wanted to get a bag. They didn't give him a bag, so you should go. Now, do they stay and then like DK's like, oh, I'm happy here now. And then Gino's like, oh, they paid me, so I'm fine. If so, if we assume both of those things, then I mean, yeah, I think it's pretty possible. I'm not someone who has looked at how people have played outside of Seattle when they leave and assumed that's how they would have played had they stayed here. I just think that the data wouldn't suggest that. Like Russ is a really good example. I watched Russ here for 10 years. I don't think that how he played in his first 2 years in Denver, or literally how he's played since, would have been how he played if he stayed with Pete. There's no reason for me to believe that. Same thing with Geno. Yeah, did Geno stink this year? For sure. Would he have stunk here? I don't know. I mean, I've seen Geno throw to Jax. It looks just fine. I've seen Geno with good pass protection for like 2 months in 2022, and he was great. So like the data suggests that if those guys had stayed here, they probably would have not. If nothing else, they just wouldn't have dropped to the bottom when they fell off. And I think the offense. See what you think about this, Chris. Let's remove. Let's just keep Geno and DK under these circumstances. The offense might honestly be even better if they kept those two and kept the scheme the same. Because I feel like, and I'm gonna write about John Snyder this week. I don't want us to misconstrue what John Snyder did this offseason. It's not like he was replacing DK with Jax. The plan was to have DK and Jax in this scheme with Geno, and then things happened. It wasn't like we gotta get these guys out of here for the scheme. Geno can play in this scheme. DK can play in the scheme. The plan was to have DK be Shaheed and Jax be Chris Olave, basically. And I think that would have been freaking excellent. They both we've shown Jax being able to block. DK can block. We now know both of them can take the top off the defense. I was skeptical on Jax being able to do that. And yeah, I think it would be even better than it is right now, to be honest. Even if you put Sam in there with DK, whatever. I think having DK here, assuming he wanted to be here in this scenario, yeah, I think the offense, I don't know about the rest of the team, but the offense, like, I think it would be just fine. There's nothing, I saw nothing in Seattle that suggests to me that if you gave Geno this scheme and pass protection, that he wouldn't be fine. I really don't. There's nothing to really suggest that to me, particularly throwing a DK and Jax. Like, come on, that's unfair in this scheme.
Yeah, it's crazy how many people think that just Geno wouldn't do well here in Seattle. It's like, did you guys not watch him in 2022 and in 2023 with a bad O-line? Dude was running for his life and still making some really good throws. Granted, he threw a lot of bad picks in the red zone. I get it. A1 brings up the red zone interceptions. It wasn't good. He also didn't have any good linemen, really. Abe Lucas didn't really play all that much. He had a center retire on him. Like, do I need to go on? He had a lot that didn't go well for him. Didn't have a run game either, so the play-action pass was not effective. Ryan Grubb back there just, hey, you're going to pass it 40 times a game. And teams are ready for it, and they were getting after him. So I think this offense with Geno and DK would probably be even stronger, even crazier. The run game, oh my God, I couldn't imagine it being worse off because of what the infrastructure is. With everything they got, I think it'd be if not the same. Could they have been 14-3 under Geno? We'll never know. But I did think that having a good old line for Geno would definitely only help his game. I don't think he would be throwing 16 picks in a season with a good old line, because as you mentioned, we have, if you go back and watch some of our tape on standout plays, we did one on, I think it was the 2023 season or 2022, one of those years where he lit up the Saints and he was throwing.
That would have been 2022.
2022, he was throwing dots all over the field. I'm talking, yeah, he probably shouldn't have thrown that, but he squeezed it in. Ty Lockett going over the top, winning, just really good stuff. And he did that last year as well. He just, unfortunately, wasn't on a good team structurally. It just wasn't good all around him. And I think if you brought this offensive line, which he has, what the Seahawks have now with Geno, it'd be fine. I'm with you, Mike. I don't see how that all of a sudden he's just bad now with the Seahawks too. He wasn't bad last season with the Seahawks. He was okay, but he wasn't bad. And I think a lot of that had to do with new OC, dropping back and throwing it 40 times, no run game. What do you want him to do?
Yeah, here's a flip side of this question that's interesting as well. What if they got rid of Geno, got rid of DK, like they did everything else the same, but kept Grubb? Would they be 14-3? Hell no. No, they would not. So yeah, Geno and Sam actually have a lot of the same drawbacks. They both turn it over quite a bit. Sam actually leads the league in turnovers this year and the second in turnover rate. And if they are flustered, their decision making can go to hell, like get dropped pretty low. That's why you need to give them good old lines. Like Gino, he's back there making terrible decisions because he's just getting beat to hell. If Sam was getting beat to hell, as we've seen him do, what'd he do? Turn it over too. So yeah, and I think last thing on this should be noted, which is why I said if they're happy here in this scenario, is a lot of the like intangible leader guy stuff that we hear about Sam. Gino had that too. Like guys in the locker room love Gino. They considered him one of the guys, his leader guy. He was clutch. He was really good in 2 minute, like Sam is. So a lot of the same stuff. They're very actually similar players, to be honest. So yeah, I think if Gino and them stayed here and wanted to be here, very important, then yeah, we'd probably see looking at a pretty similar offense, if not a better one, since they have DK and Jax.
Well, this is going to draw some interesting comments on the YouTube page, but we're all looking for it. This next one is from Best Not Miss. I like that ad name. Fire. Who is John Schneider trying to extend next after Charles Cross?
Yeah. Man, kudos to Charles. Got 104 million, I believe it is, on a new deal. That's impressive. A 4-year deal. You know what? I'll already respond to the YouTube comments from our last question, though. By the way, envision this scenario now too. Now imagine if Sam had went to Vegas. You think he'd be better or worse than what Gino was this year?
I was going to bring that up, but I didn't even. There was no point. It's a moot point. You got people that do not like Gino for all the non-football reasons, whether it's attitude and things of that nature, where Sam is just this calm and everyone's different. So people, to your point, Mike, people don't like Gino, just like people didn't like DK.
Yeah.
If you like the guy.
Well, and I think, damn, we're just totally ignoring the other question. We'll get to it. But Gino earned some of that too, though. It's not like when you go tell ESPN that you weren't a good culture fit and I finally got my team. Like, come on, dog. Nobody want to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that. Whether it's right or not, fans ain't trying to hear that. So you start saying, "Oh, I got my team now. I didn't fit Seattle. I had a playlist called The Last Dance all last season." Man, nobody want to hear that. Yeah, so fans are not gonna like you. So that part of that's on him, too, as well. So I get why. If I was a Seahawks fan, I'd be like, all right, take your little team then, in the number 1 overall pick. If I was a fan, that's how I'd feel. So I don't even fault the fans who are like, man, screw Gino, he stink. I feel why fans would say that. I don't feel that way, but yeah. Got people that they should extend. We talked about Spoon. We talked about JSN. Charles got the bag. Abe got the bag. Chris, the only other one I was thinking about that maybe could have done before the year. It was just Kobe was the one I thought they could have done before the season started. But if I was advising Kobe, I would have told him to bet on yourself and just ball out, get a bigger bag. But one that I thought they may do before like the end of the regular season, or like going into the playoffs, kind of what they did for Charles, was Shaheed. Kind of get ahead of him hitting the market or even wanting to test it, because the receiver market is pretty thin in terms of guys who are going to be unrestricted free agents. It's actually not great. Like I saw some people mentioning how much like Alec Pierce is going to get paid, for instance, the guy from the Colts, because he went off in their last game. And I was like, wait, guys are paying him? Who else is available? And then I went and looked. I'm going to pull it up now. You're looking at guys like, oh yeah, this is nasty. Like Debo's a free agent, Mike Evans, Christian Kirk, Tutu, Diami Brown, Marquise Brown, Jawan Jennings, Thielen, Jahan Dotson. I'm not going to keep reading these names. These are insulting. But like, Pickens, Pickens is in there as well. Alec Pierce. So when you have that, if the Seahawks, considering all the other people that they have to pay, they could pay Reek, who we'll talk about. They could pay Kobe. We already talked about K9. They could pay Mafe. They can actually extend Derek Hall, if they want to as well right now. So considering all this other stuff, do you really want to risk the potential of Shaheed? I know he said he wants to be here. That's a lot different than you never know. You say that now, you get these other teams start throwing this bag at you, then what? Because Shaheed could hit the open market based on this little list I'm seeing of potential free agents. Dog, Shaheed, I'd get 20 million. If I was his agent, I'd be able to get Shaheed 20 million a year on this market without question. Did the Seahawks pay that? Probably not, especially not after paying Jack. So that would probably be the only other one I'm like, maybe you want to do that now and just avoid having to even get to free agency, especially since Shaheed has said he already wants to be here long term.
This next one is from E. In the scenario that Clint gets a head coaching job, who would be the best pick for the new OC?
Yeah, we got a few. Appreciate the question. I think this is we're talking about women submissions. This one is, I believe. Yeah, are they right?
Yep. He always asks questions though. She knows what's up. What's up, E?
Oh, okay. Yeah, for some reason I just peeped this question today when I was going through. Yeah, so I actually made a list. So, Chris, here's the guys I don't like. Because I think this is important because we're going to see these names start getting thrown out. If they were to lose Clint Kubiak, who's already had interest from, do I have that list here? It was a lot. Albert Breer had the updated one. Let me look at my phone real fast. Hopefully my Wi-Fi cooperates with me. Clint Kubiak has already garnered interest from the Giants, Cardinals, Raiders, and Falcons. Yeah, that's a lot. That's 4 of the 7 jobs that are open. So there's a potential that they lose him. I think that's real because there's a lot of jobs open. Clint's a attractive candidate if you're an owner. You know, he's not a nepotism baby in the like he ain't deserved it sense, but I mean his dad was a head coach, so you know he's got the institutional knowledge of kind of how it works. He's been to multiple organizations, been an OC at multiple stops. He's not like a one-hit wonder or something like that. He's called plays in a bunch of different places, yada yada yada. So I think they could lose him. I think that's very possible. So here's the people. If when you hear these names, just know that Mike is like, nah. Kevin Stefanski, Browns head coach. Nope, I'm good. Cliff Kingsbury, hell no. No. I don't know why he keeps getting jobs. Not a good OC. Sorry, I know why he keeps getting jobs, but that's not the point of the pod. If the Dolphins fire Mike McDaniel, nah, I'm good. I'm just not really sold on him as bad as I think Tua has played. Go look at Mike McDaniel without Tua. It's even worse. They're awful. I don't think he's like this genius guy. So I'd be cool with like, I would bring in like Daboll. I could see he's a hothead, but he does design good plays. I've unfortunately watched a lot of the Giants. I would promote from within Jake Peets, who's their passing game coordinator right now. Worked for Sean McVay.
Peets is number 1 on my list. Yeah, that was kind of like, man, just take Peets in. There you go. Give him a shot. See how that works. He learned the Kubiak. Now he gets his chance to apply what he's learned. He already has the pieces in play. Assuming they extend JSN and all, just go ahead and run it back. Keep someone that's been there that knows it. So he was number 1, but continue. No, I think that let's just stay on Jake since we agree on that. That'd probably be where I would probably promote from within because now you kind of have the institutional knowledge from the candidate, you know, because I understand why they went external to get Clint because it's like, all right, we need a system here. While I focus on the defense from Mike McDonald, I need somebody else to just be like, all right, go do your thing. Bring a system that we already know works in the NFL. You know, Jake can kind of put his own spin on that, you know, because he's been here. He worked with Grubb too, so he knows what doesn't work. I think that would probably be the way I go. But if they go external, I wouldn't mind a Daboll, though he does feel a little Greg Roman-y to me. And Greg Roman's the Chargers OC. He was also Kaepernick's OC. He was Tyrod Taylor's OC as well, Lamar Jackson's OC. And I bring up where he's been before because he feels and then he was Greg. That was where Greg Roman was. Greg feels perfect for when you have a mobile quarterback. Very similar to Daboll. Daboll's work. He did some good work with Jackson Dart. He did some good work a little bit to get Daniel Jones paid. He did some good work with Josh Allen. It doesn't feel like that would work well with a stationary quarterback like Sam. I feel like you bring in a guy like Daboll, that would be like, okay, we're going to roll the Jalen Milroe thing out here. Then I think you maybe do something like that. If Matt LaFleur gets fired in Green Bay, I would roll with that one as well. That would probably be my number 1 external hire. But yeah, I'm with you, Chris. Just promote Jake if you lose Clint. This next one is from DK Zawuki. If Kubiak takes a position, say the Falcons, would he try to bring Darnold with him? What would the Seahawks want in return, and would they allow that to even happen?
Yeah, hell no. This is a quick one. This is a hell no. You know what I could see though? Chris is him doing is taking like Drew Lock with him. You know, like say, hey, somebody I know who I've worked with. Because remember, Clint and Sam only worked together, I believe, in 2023. That's just 1 year where Sam was the backup. Very similar to Drew Lock now. He's gotten a chance to start. He's gotten which he did in where was Drew first? Oh, Denver. Drew got a chance to start, didn't work, came somewhere else, was the backup, but got a few starts, just like Sam going to Carolina. Then he had to go somewhere else to be the true backup, like he did with the Giants, and now back in Seattle. And then you got familiar with the coach and you follow him somewhere. I could see that exact thing, like Clint being like, no, I'm not going to take Sam. Why would Sam leave? But hey, Drew, buddy, come on down to Atlanta or something like. I could see that, and I'd actually be happy for Drew if that was the case, because I think very similar to Sam, he can be in that bucket of dudes who's like, I can get you somewhere, but when we get there, let's run the ball and play good defense.
This next one is from Bam Bam Cam. It feels like the roles have completely flipped. After Pete Carroll's presser following the 2022 playoff loss to the Niners, he talked about needing to get better in the trenches. And back then, the Niners were the physical, trench-dominant team, while the Seahawks were more of the finesse team and got pushed around. Did the Seahawks basically just copy their blueprint, and now the Seahawks are about to become a juggernaut for the next few years?
Yeah, so if I remember this correctly, it actually wasn't his press conference. This was his radio show after they lost to the Niners in the playoffs. And yeah, the host asked him, what is the difference between what you guys have and what the Niners have? And Pete was like, what they have up front is serious. I'm paraphrasing, but that was the gist. And yeah, I do think the roles have flipped a little bit. And that I'm going to write about this. I was going to do it this week, but I chose to do a John Snyder story. So I'll do it next week, probably before their playoff game. But I think that's why they're here, Chris, is because John finally got that right. Because remember we talked about this. Remember they changed out their D-line after that? It was like, I think they got rid of like Puna and like Shelby, I think, and like brought in other guys. It's like they just changed the names around. Don't change it. Go get difference makers. D-Law, difference maker. Leo, difference maker. Byron, difference maker. You know, they didn't have that before, and now they do. I would say that's probably a big reason why they're here now. That would probably be, I don't know, Chris, what reason number 2? Would you have it 3, 1 of why they are where they are now? Is the trenches?
I think it starts with even before that, being willing to make a change, being willing to say, you know what, Pete, it's time. Like that's where it started. Because if you don't make that change, because who knows, maybe Pete's stuck in his same ways of coaching philosophy and hasn't really caught up to how many different ways you can coach. Not saying that Pete is doing it the wrong way, but dude's like 90 years old. He sees it one way. Is he really going to change how he's done things for the last 30 years? That's tough to do. That's a tough ask. So the Seahawks were willing to rip their Band-Aid off and just say, start new. And that was the first step. And then you go out and you get guys that match what you're trying to do with Mike McDonald's vision. And you're seeing that because John Snyder got 2 linebackers that probably weren't in Mike McDonald's vision. And what happened? Got those guys out of their midseason. So you started to see the transition of, okay, this is what Mike's trying to do. Oh, new OC. This is what aligns with what Mike McDonald's trying to do, being physical. We're going to run the football, wide zone. We're going to just dominate you and just punch you over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until you just get tired of it. You don't want to do it no more. So I think that's where it all started, is just moving on from Pete Carroll. And then after that, you started layering things. Okay, what is your vision for this defense? Okay, cool. So you need new linebackers. Excellent. What about here at the offensive line? What do you need there? Okay. So I think it just stemmed from, again, getting rid of Pete Carroll. That was kind of the big one. And then from there, you just saw how it laid out.
Real quick on I forgot that the question also asked about the blueprint being copied. I should note that part of the reason the Niners had trenches because they sucked. And they got guys like DeForest Buckner. I believe he was a first-round pick. Eric Armstead, a first-round pick. These are high first-round picks. Nick Bosa was, I believe, the second pick. I think the Javon Kinlaw, I think, is who they drafted after trading Buckner to the Colts, I believe, who's also a first-round pick in the top half of the draft, I think. So that is part of it. It's the Niners stunk, and then they use those high picks on trench players. Pete used to talk about that too. Yeah, he'd be like, "Well, yeah, what they have up front. Look how bad they were, because the Niners kept having bad years. They were bad in 2017, I believe. They sucked in 2018, which is how they got Bosa. Then they went to the Super Bowl, but then everyone got hurt in 2020. So then they had a high pick in 2021. So it's like Seahawks never had that. And so they had to even look at their D line now. None of their D linemen, only one of their D linemen was a first round pick of theirs. It's just Murph. Everyone else, is D-Law. They had to sign. Leo had to trade a second round pick for. Leo was a first round pick though. So they didn't copy the blueprint because you got to stink too long to do that. Reminds me of there's a soundbite of Mike Tomlin talking to Chase Young. He's like, "Boy, I don't want to lose enough games to be able to draft a player like you." Yeah, because Chase was the second pick in the draft. It's that sentiment there. The Niners did that. They sucked. They used their picks on D linemen, like you said. That's smart. The Seahawks went a different way, but got to the same conclusion of like, now our D line is nasty.
This next one is followed up is DK Wookie again. The defense is the strongest group, but with the run we have made, are we becoming complacent of the struggles the Seahawks have with the offense? Is Sam the man for us? Is Kupp worth the money moving forward?
Let's start. Where you want to start? With Sam, Kupp.
Let's go with we'll start with complacency, because I think they're just in a situation where the defense don't mind it. It's not good for the offense because they just don't have a rhythm, but the offense has found some type of rhythm in the run game. And if that continues, Sam should have no problem play action passing and getting the ball down the field. He's been doing it all season. That's where he's really good and strong at. He can do that. The defense just has to keep playing at an elite level, which I don't think randomly they're just going to be like, "Oh, we don't know how to tackle. We're going to screw up and not cover guys well. We're not going to communicate." I don't think that's just going to happen. I think this team defensively is going to be consistent throughout the playoffs. You just want the offense to catch up, which they've done the last 2 weeks, but now they're going to do it when it matters, one and done. Either you win or you go home. So there's not much room for error. And with Sam, it goes back to something that we've been talking about all season. Just don't give the ball to the other team. And sure, you can say, "Oh, you can say that about every team in the playoffs, Chris and Mike." True. But the difference is not every team has what the Seahawks have in defense. Like, for instance, Josh Allen could turn the ball over 3 times. And you know what would happen? They'd probably be getting beat by 3 touchdowns because that defense can't stop anything. But then, at the same time, Josh Allen could be the reason why they come back. If the defense can just get a stop at least once, he can be the same reason. Whereas you would need other things to take place. For instance, against the Rams, Mike and I have talked about this. If Rashid Shaheed does not get that punt return, the Seahawks will win that game. I just don't think they have enough time to be moving the ball down the field and scoring as quickly as they did. But that spark is what changed everything. Whereas special teams unit for the Buffalo Bills, I don't know if it's all that good. I don't know if they have some kick return or a punt return that's going to take it to the house, and all of a sudden the defense is ready to go and the offense finds a rhythm. I don't think that would be something that happens. I think you just rely on Josh Allen to just make heroic plays, and when he does, you just keep going. And that's what separates the Seahawks from a Buffalo Bills, where the Seahawks have an elite defense, an offense that's finding rhythm, and a quarterback who is a game manager that can manage the game very well. And if he does those things well, the Seahawks are going to be in the Super Bowl, as Mike has been saying since, I think, week 13. This team has a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So all things, when you look at it, this team is in perfect position. It's kind of what Pete Carroll did their first time going to the Super Bowl. Had a young rookie quarterback. Hey, man, just go manage the football game. We'll hand the ball off to Marshawn, let the defense do their thing, and you'll be a champion. And what do you know?
Yeah, I think here's a good thing about this team. There is no complacency from the players and the coaches on offense. And if you just need an example, go listen to any Sam. Sam's one of the few quarterbacks that I see, I think, who opens everything with an opening statement, kind of like a coach would do. When he goes to the podium, he's like, "All right," before we ask anything, he says his initial thoughts. And almost always, with the exception of the games where it would be obvious, he is usually critical of his own performance, unprompted. Like, yeah, we can be better. Like the Niners game, like, yeah, we can be better in the red zone. He was like, I missed Zach in the end zone. I threw a bad ball to Jax on the deep ball in the end zone. Like he, even in the game they won to clinch the 1 seed in the division, he was like, yeah, here's the throws I missed, unprompted. That's kind of how his brain works, and that's good. And obviously he didn't need to do that after like the Saints game or the Commanders or the second Cardinals game or something. But his brain does work like that, and that's important. So you won't see like, oh, we just won, so that's it. He's not gonna. Sam doesn't play the result. Kubiak doesn't play the result. Mike McDonald doesn't play the result. Yada yada yada. And that's good. That's important. Which is why Chris and I do that on our post game shows too. We ain't just like, oh, they won, so let's not talk about anything they did wrong. No, that's important. Particularly with turnovers. You can win, but okay, why did you have to give this read was bad, and that could be costly against a better team. So there's that. Sam, yeah, is like we said, he's clearly good enough to make your games matter. And I want to reinforce that point that there are not a lot of quarterbacks who I think are good enough so that your games will matter. Like Kirk Cousins, really good example. I don't think he's good enough for you consistently believe that your games are going to matter. Like even if you don't like Geno, when he was here, the games mattered all the way to the end, all the way to week 18. There's some other quarterbacks who, let me see who I don't think will be there. Who probably won't be there after this year is probably Bryce. I don't think like Bryce is good enough consistently year to year for me to say, oh, if Bryce is your quarterback, your games will probably matter towards the end of the year. I do not believe that. Kyler Murray, another one. I'm out on Kyler. I don't think that your games are going to matter towards the end of the year consistently with Kyler as your quarterback. Tua, same thing. So for Sam to be in that bucket, I do think that's worth something. I'll give you guys another analogy. I think that was essentially the dilemma, with Pete Carroll. It was, yeah, our games are going to matter because we're going to be fighting for a playoff spot. But are we fighting for the 1 seed in the division or fighting for the 7? And the answer was more of the latter towards the end, so he got up out of here. John Harbaugh was fired today. Same sentiment. If Matt LaFleur in Green Bay gets fired, it'll be the same sentiment. It'll be the idea that like, all right, you're a good enough coach for our games to matter in December, but are we winning them? Are we winning them in January? If the answer is no, then we need to find someone who will. And that's why Harbaugh's gone. There's a lot of people who are going to post like, oh, this is how many times Harbaugh went to the playoffs and this, and his resume, it's great. But the reality is he was just good enough for their games to matter, but not good enough to win them the last like 8 years or whatever since he's had Lamar. So Sam is for now in that boat of our games are good. With you, our games are going to matter. All right, well, are we going to win them? So far, he won basically 2 NFC West championship games, one against the Rams and then one against the Niners. Now what does he do in the playoffs? So in this last one, is Cup worth the money? Chris, I can almost just, you could damn near, assuming Torrey's shin is intact, you can take whatever money you save from releasing Cooper, and you can probably just pick it up and put it right in Rashid Shaheed's bank account. I can see that happening this offseason. Very similar to they took the money that they were going to pay Draymond Jones and asked Chenna to take a pay cut and said, D-Law, here you go. Bang, and fix their D-line. I just think that's no matter what happens to this season, by the way, I think you gotta do that, particularly if you're gonna pay Jax this offseason. To have Jax, Torrey, pay Shaheed, what Cup's making, that's just untenable. I think you keep 3 of those 4. Jax, Shaheed, Cup, Torrey, by the way. So I think Cup's a fine player, but yeah, it's just the way the roster is set up. I can see that money just being quickly reallocated this offseason, no matter what happens in the playoffs, by the way.
This next one is from JSN Owns You. Can we expect a 2019 NFC Championship Mostert type of game in the playoffs? I would imagine that's the ceiling for this offense. Well, in case you guys are wondering, it was a 2020 championship, NFC Championship against the Green Bay Packers, Niners and Packers, that is. And Mostert went for 220 yards and 4 touchdowns. And the Niners won 37-20. Wow.
Yeah, that was impressive. That's also, to go back to the LaFleur point, Packers fans are like, dog, okay, we We got belt to ass in the championship. That was on the road. Let's try to get that game on the road. Or excuse me, at Lambeau. You know what they did the next year? They won the NFC and got the NFC title game at Lambeau. And then Tom Brady came in there and bombed all over Kevin King, and they lost. So now they're like, all right. And they ain't been back since. So I'm like, okay, is LaFleur just gonna keep getting us close enough to not be good enough, or can he finally win the thing? It's same thing with Sam. Also, Chris, with that name, the tag name reminds me of Lenore a little bit, because I'm sure that's what the motivation is for having the screen name. You know what's funny is I keep seeing people who are like Niners fans being like, "Oh, Jax didn't do nothing against Diamador. Like he had no catches against him." I'm just like, you guys have really lost the plot here, buddy. Like he sometimes it's not about what they did against you. Like he did all that barking and basically made no plays, and
Lost.
and got his guy Renardo Green barbecued. Because now they're just like, all right, we're just gonna put Jax on 0 and just run it up. That's exactly what they did. So, yeah, great. Lenore had no catches allowed on Jax. Great. Your team lost because Jax did play well, and you did nothing to stop it. So anyway, I forgot even. The 2019. No, we're not gonna see anything like that. I don't think we'll see anything like that again. That was unreal. Mostert went absolutely bonkers in that game, but I do think that game it also speaks to the type of quarterback. Like Jimmy G at one point was in this same bucket I've been describing. Jimmy G with Kyle Shanahan was good enough so that in January your games mattered, and then when you got there, you wanted Jimmy to do as you still got that box score up, Chris. You wanted Jimmy to do as little as possible. Tell the people how many pass attempts Jimmy G had in this 2019 game.
Let me pull it up again, but I'm pretty sure it was probably 20, my guess.
No, it's a single digit number. I know the answer. I just want you to read it for dramatic effect.
Oh, well, excuse me. He had, where art thou? It's taking me forever to find it. Go ahead and give the answer, Mike, while I pull it up.
He had 8 pass attempts.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That is game manager if I've ever seen one. Good Lord. I could have did that.
Any of us could have done that. Any of us could have done. And that's the type of quarterback he was, though, which is why John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan was like, all right, let's try to get someone who we trust to throw the ball more than 8 times or whatever they did in that game. He was 6 of 8 for 77 yards. That was it. And that wasn't an accident though. Like that they knew that was how we win this game. And then they got to the Super Bowl. He threw an interception, I think, and then also threw a ball with his eyes closed. And they lost to the Chiefs and blew a lead. And they were like, let's go get Trey Lance. But that's the type of bucket that I think Sam is in. Now Sam's better than Jimmy G, but that's where he exists. And again, that is fine. Because when you have the right scheme, like the Seahawks do, you can live in that world where, Chris, I think the version actually, this made me think of that when we got this question. A version of that is quite literally what we just saw on Saturday. Now, Sam threw more than 8 passes, but the sentiment was the same. It was, Sam, go out there, manage the game. We're going to play great defense, special teams. Again, Jason Myers didn't do his part there, but that's how we're going to win this game. Ken and Zach ran for like 171. Sam threw for 198. That's balance. That's the guys in this bucket. And that's what you need in the playoffs. Do that, and I think the Seahawks will be fine.
This is from Corey Adams. You get to re-sign 2 of the 4 players, Reek, Job, Boye, Kobe. Who are you giving the bag to? How, or are you replacing who you let go?
Okay. So Reek, Job, Boye, Kobe. This is pretty easy for me, Chris. Reek and Kobe, I'm keeping.
That was no-brainer for me.
Yeah, and let's start with Kobe here for a second, because I feel like I'm sure you've seen this too, Chris. Is there is this sentiment that like you don't pay Kobe because Ty Okada plays well when he's in the game, and I think that is fine to feel that way. 2 things about that though. One, they play different positions. Ty is a strong safety or boundary safety, who plays to the short side of the field. Kobe is a more traditional post safety, plays to the field, the far side of the field. In the Carolina game and in the Niners game, that is when Ty was in and Kobe was out, Julian played Kobe's role, Ty played Julian's role. So they're not, Ty and Kobe is not an even 1-for-1 swap, is what I'm trying to say. Think of it this way. Ty is more like Cam Chancellor, Kobe would be more like Earl. That's a simple way to hear the roles that I'm describing. So that's point one about just saying, we don't got to pay Kobe, we got Ty. It doesn't work like that. Two different positions. And Ty is not really, he can maybe do the free safety thing, but there's a reason Mike McDonald's having Julian do it. Let's put it that way. So that's number one. Two, this doesn't get talked about that much, and it's fine. When backups come in the game and or when they start games, what you see a lot of the time is coaches adjusting to the fact that there is a backup. And then when they play well, that doesn't mean that, okay, now we just don't need our starter anymore. No. That means you have good coaches, right? Like, perfect example, when the Niners are down receivers, I remember that there was like a Thursday night game. It was like Mac Jones, and I think their number one receiver was Kendrick Bourne. And Kendrick went for like 150 or something like that against the Rams, I believe it was. Does that mean you don't need Ricky Pearsall and Brock? No, that doesn't. That means that Kyle Shanahan's a good coach. But there's still value in being able to just have the better players that you don't have to do all this extra scheming for. The Rams, another example. Could they scheme open Cooper Kupp this year? Sure. They could have had a good offense doing that. McVay was like, I don't want to do that. I would like the easier route. I would go get Devontae Adams. That would be better. Could I scheme open Kupp all year in 2025? Absolutely. Do I need to scheme up Devontae? Absolutely not. We're just going to throw him goal line fades all day because no one can cover it. And he's going to lead the league in touchdowns. Right? So keep that in mind when we talk about backups. I think also where this shows up is in offensive line play. Like, sure, they got by with Josh Jones, but look how they got by with Josh Jones. Look how often they're giving chip help or whatever. Look at the final play in overtime against the Rams. What'd they do? They gave him chip help against the other team's best player, Jared Verse. Chris, do you think that they would have given Charles Cross, who they just gave $100 million to, chip help against the number one player on the other team with the game on the line? What do you think?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, because they don't need to do that because they think Charles is like that for real. For whatever reason, they're like, Josh, we love you, but we're going to do what's best to win the game, which is to give you help. And that's fine. It's no slight to Josh. That's just the life of a backup. So I want you guys to just keep that in mind when you talk about replace this dude with that dude. Like sometimes the backups just put extra stress on the coaches to do their jobs well, and they do it. Great. Doesn't mean we want to keep doing that. I'd rather just have the better guy. And then it opens up more stuff. Thank you for coming to my Kobe Bryant TED Talk. Hopefully that all made sense.
This next one is from Chris Hamilton. Why do the Seahawks still not have a player with double-digit sacks? Does it matter on a team like this?
Actually, hold on. Let's go back real quick. Why do you pick Reek? We didn't talk about Reek.
Oh, because for one, he is made in a lab. He has the talent there is just you just can't get that. And again, he's been locked in for 16 weeks now. He's played really good football. I don't see anyone complaining on the timeline about Reek. You don't pass on that. You work with it, you figure it out, and you just work on these little areas where he might have a mishap, and you try to make him as consistent as possible. You know what he did really well outside of the pass coverage against the Niners after rewatching the tape? Tackled phenomenally.
Best tackling in his career.
Just tackling. He did a really good job. And I'm thinking, yeah, you got to bring this guy back. Figure it out. Like, there's just no room to let him walk because you couldn't come to a agreement here. I just can't fathom seeing that with this defense because what he brings on this defense, you just can't teach. There was a play where Seahawks were playing man and they motioned. I want to say it was Juwan Jennings. I forget who it was that motioned. how he caught him, you just don't have that on every team. And the fact that he was able to catch him for a loss of 2 yards, it was a play action pass. They motioned the receiver from one side, tried to catch the Seahawks slipping, and his eyes were peeking in the backfield because maybe he thought it was going to be a run, whatever the case may be. But as soon as that receiver caught the ball, he was on him. It was like bam, and he was there and he made the tackle. And then he did a little celebration. That's what Reek brings. And you don't have that with Josh Jobe. You don't have that with Spoon. Actually, you do. He's everything. But with Reek, he's just different. So you have to figure it out. You got to pay him. He is just too talented to give up on because of a couple of bad weeks here and there, a couple of bad plays throughout the season. His best plays outweigh his worst plays, and it's not close. The problem is those worst plays come at really unfortunate times for him. Game winners, big third downs, maybe even a fourth down. The thing is, if you can eliminate those mistakes, you are looking at an all-pro type corner that could dominate for the next couple seasons in the NFL, staying healthy and all that. He could really do that. That's the trajectory he is on. So yeah, I'm paying him $29 million. Let's get it done. You've proven this season that when you're locked in, you do everything really well, from tackling to communication to doing your part in covering the area, matching on zones, whatever it is. Reek has that, and to just let that walk and maybe he fares off better somewhere else, I don't think the Seahawks want to take that risk. This next one is from Demand Mode. Would love to hear more about AD's Aiden Dur role in running the defense and how the players have responded to working with him.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's been all pretty good, and that's typically the case with position coaches. I find it very hard to get players who don't like their position coach to say that to you, either on or off the record. A few exceptions. Give you a hint. Go read Ryan McFadden's ESPN story. Ryan covers the Raiders. You can kind of see examples of where position coaches can get trashed a little bit, but I don't experience that. So you're always going to get positive reviews from position coaches for the most part. Two things stand out to me with AD. One, that Mike McDonald values his opinion, like legitimately. Mike references it all the time about the debates they have on the headset and the game planning. And sometimes, he'll overrule or sometimes be like, yeah, AD's right. Or AD can tell him to calm down, which is also the second thing. It's just that, AD seems to have like a pretty like even keel like temperament, whereas Mike seems like he gets a little fired up on game days. But the first part I think is really important because while Mike is the mastermind, like you do need it's still collaborative, and he really if Mike values his defensive mind, then that means something to me. For instance, here's an example. I remember Mike was talking earlier in the year. He was like, "Yeah, we came into a plan kind of this season thinking we were going to blitz a little bit more than we do. Their blitz numbers, as you guys know, were real low for the first part of the season." And he was like, "Yeah, AD's been like kind of campaigning, let him be like, all right, my guys can rush before, let's roll, and Mike adjusted, not just because AD said so, but the opinion was valued, and that does matter. That matters just as much, I think, as the players rocking with him. And to my knowledge, they do. I've only asked DeMarcus about it. Maybe I've asked D Hall about it too. I don't have a lot of player examples to give you guys, unfortunately, like today. But Mike's seeing value in his mind means everything to me. And the collaborative effort that they do to make sure this D-line is nasty, yeah. Like AD's D-line knowledge clearly is real deal. The way this front plays is as good as any front in the league. I think I didn't get a good chance to watch every front this year with great detail, but I'd say the way Cleveland's front played before Malik Collins got hurt, the way Houston's front is currently playing in Seattle, those three fronts are as good as anything I've seen in a long time. They just whip ass up front. That's what the Seahawks do. It's really impressive run and rushing coverage. So, yeah, I think I don't know if this question got asked because the Browns have requested to speak with AD for their head coach job. I don't know if he's ready for the big chair. I don't know him well enough. Just legitimately, I have no idea. But I think that, Chris, he would make a great like he used to work for Dan Quinn in Dallas. Dan Quinn fired his DC today, Joe Witt Jr. If DQ calls AD and says, "Come be my DC, I'll let you call the plays," and AD leaves, I'd be like, you know what, man, good for you. Go be the play caller in DC and go get you a head coaching job after that. Like that would be the thing I'd be more worried about if I'm a Seahawks fan is DQ poaching him to be the play caller in DC. I wouldn't worry about the head coach thing yet. I'd be more worried about that.
This next one is from Govind. Did Nick Eamon that is, do enough for everyone to see on the big stage recently to get serious defensive rookie of the year consideration?
Unfortunately, I don't think so. I think that Schlesinger dude has got it, and I think who's the other guy that I mentioned? Oh, that James Pierce guy. You know, Chris, he has like 10.5 sacks. The rookie in the Falcons. Yeah,
I thought he had 7.5. That's wrong.
I think he got his 7th against the Seahawks, and since then has been killing. Let me double check that so I'm not giving y'all false. Yeah, 10.5. And I kept saying some stat over the weekend that it was like the most by a rookie since like Micah Parsons, I think. So do I think that means that James Pierce is having as good a season as Nick? No, I don't. But remember, how can I say this, Chris, without just saying the voters don't know ball? But I know some people who vote for some of these awards. And it's very hard to do that and be a traveling beat writer. That's why usually these AP voters are like national people. Like my colleague Mike Sando, I believe, was an AP voter, at least once was. Mike doesn't travel. He sits at his house. He watches every game. He watches film. He talks to execs. He talks to coaches. And he looks at numbers. And then he has an opinion on the league. That's how you should be a national voter. Like for me to be a national voter, that would actually be really hard. Like I've watched zero tape, for instance, of the Bills defense. Right? So I couldn't tell you how good or bad like Christian Benford is, you know, because I just haven't had the time. I'm on flights. The Bills play at a certain time. You know, I have a hard time watching watching games in real time of NFC West teams. They're usually playing at 1:00, just like the Seahawks. I don't have time to watch the Cardinals. Right? So I'm bringing that up to say, if you're a voter and you are someone who's on the road a lot, you're either a TV person, a radio person, or whatever, you've got to cast your defensive rookie of the year votes, which I believe were due today. You're going to look, okay, this Schlesinger dude's got a bazillion tackles. This James Pierce guy has 10 sacks. Nicky Eamon has 2 sacks, 1 interception. You know, I don't even know if he has a forced fumble. You're probably like, all right, cool, go with the middle linebacker, and maybe I'll vote number 2 for the guy who has 10 sacks as a rookie. That's probably what you're doing as a voter. You know, how much film are you really diving into to compare? How much film do you even know how to watch as a voter? I know some voters right now who don't know what they're looking at. So I think that's hurting Nick, because Nick, you got to watch Nick to believe he's better than those other 2 guys. And I just don't think that people have the voters are going to have done so. If they did, Nick would be the obvious choice to me. It wouldn't even be close.
This is from Weapon Next. Which defensive player from 2013 would you want to see in Mike Macdonald's defense? And for all bits and giggles, say the 2025 Seahawks had to play the 2013 Seahawks. What does that matchup look like?
Wow. Who's your player that you would want?
Man, that is so tough. But you know what? Give me Bobby Wagner. I see what Ernest is doing, and I'm just like, you bring Bobby in here, my God, he might be the greatest linebacker of all time. I mean, that's how crazy. I mean, Bobby's on that trajectory anyway, but you put him with Mike Macdonald and 2. Not that Ernest Jones is not a genius or smart out there. He's very talented, but Bobby's just different. You guys saw it with your own eyes. Bobby is just, he did it for a long time too, right? Man, the middle of that defense for Pete Carroll, and to Mike's point, as you always say, we're going to run cover 3 and there's nothing you can do about it. And they did that so well, but now you have Mike Macdonald disguising things and sending multiple pressures from here and there and putting Bobby in all these different positions. Because Bobby, he can get east and west pretty well when he was, you know, during that run. He was really freaking good. But yeah, I would really want to see Bobby, as well as KJ. I think KJ would be another guy, a dude that just cerebral and could read a screen just like nobody else. I know you detailed it in your book. Yeah, those 2 alone, I would just be like, I'd have my popcorn just watching, like, wow, this is crazy what they're doing defensively.
I'm glad you didn't take my guy. I'm going with Earl.
Because I was going with Earl.
Well, because after watching, because for the book, I watched pretty much every game, either with the tape or just the broadcast copy from 2010 to about 2015 ish. I watched a lot of games to write that book, and then my conclusion was, oh, Earl was the best player on the team. Earl was a cheat code. Earl in this defense, if you just, as much as I love Kobe, just swap him out for Earl, and keep J Love in the Cam Chancellor role, that defense would be the best defense ever. And I'm not sure it would be close. Like, I really don't think. I'm talking better than the Ravens, better than some of those old school Steelers defenses from like the 70s or whatever. Yeah. Earl in this scheme, the way he can just erase everything, and you're disguising, and Earl would get to blitz in this scheme too. Oh my God. Yeah, my guy is Earl. I'm glad you didn't take my guy. Because it would be, I just can't. What do they give up now? Like 17 points a game? I think that number would be like 12. I really don't think anyone would score anything on them at all. It'd be just like the 2000 Ravens, but just better. it really would. It'd be crazy. Second part of this question is, if the 2025 Seahawks had to play the 2013 Seahawks, what does that look like?
That offense cooked, bro.
Yeah,
might be trouble, man. I know Doug and Jermaine are really talented, but man, it would be they'd be running the football. They would definitely try that, but I'm just like, bro, up front, like it might be 3-0.
Yeah. So it's funny. So we didn't talk about this beforehand. I'm gonna read you my notes here on this. I wrote this down. I said, Russ would have a hard time scoring on these guys, and Doug would hate me for saying this, but I'm not really sure how the Seahawks pass catchers get open versus Spoon and Reek and all them, especially with Russ's struggles throwing on time at that point in his career. I remember his second year. The score would be like 10-6. That would be that was my conclusion. I really don't know how anybody scores. I don't know.
I'm with you. Yeah.
Because as good as Jax is, Jax versus Prime Sherm?
Oh yeah.
I don't know about that.
Might be tough over there.
Yeah, we're gonna have to throw some rails. Then you can't bomb it to Rashid because we got Earl. Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know who. I said the score would be 10-6. You notice I didn't pick a winner. I don't know. Whoever can get to 10 points, God bless you. Because I think Russ would be cooked. That version of Russ in particular. 2013 Russ not scoring on this team. No way.
Can you imagine Marshawn trying to run on this defense? Just
hey,
I Byron.
Think that would be the one. That's probably how they score the 10 points. I guess I don't know. Maybe there's probably a defensive score in there somewhere. Maybe a special team score, because remember, one team would have Shaheed, who I would guess is going to be an All-Pro returner. The other team has Percy Harvin, who's also an electric returner. Yeah, so I don't know. That'd be in a special game. I don't know who would win, but I just feel very confident that neither offense would score anything. It would be nasty. It'd be bad ball and all.
That's why I said 3-0, man.
You're probably right.
No, you're probably right. Some kick return or something bound to happen. I don't know which special teams would fold though, like because this special teams Seahawks 2025 is really good. I don't know if you have the numbers to look up that 2013 special teams.
They were good too. Pete always had good special teams units, coverage, returns. Yeah, both units. It's a push, really, and I don't know. It's very close. I just know that Sam and Russ would be in hell. I'll tell you that right now. Neither one of them's throwing anything deep. You kiss that goodbye. It's over.
Facts.
Over.
Not happening. This next one is from Harold Kumar. Great name. For those who know, you know. It feels like every time Seattle's defense are facing 4th and 1, they get a stop and force a turnover. Do the stats reflect it?
Yeah. The Seahawks are the best 4th and 1. I don't know about turnover, but yeah, they're like the best 4th and 1, 3rd and 1. Mike. Oh yeah. They are when teams run it. Now when they throw it, I'd have to go look up those numbers, but yeah, the numbers definitely suggest that they are one of the best short yardage teams in the league. if not the best. It's actually pretty crazy. Depending on what metric you want to use, I'll give you one. I looked this up earlier. Um, Rushing success rate. And True Media has this. This is on third down and fourth down with 1 yard to go. They're number one in the league. There you go. They've only given up 1 touchdown in that instance. They've given up 15 first downs, but that's because let me see how many times they've been in that scenario. 29, which is second most in the league. So, like Chris talked about earlier in the year, teams are doing it a lot. For what reason? Only them and their God know, because it's not working. It's not working at all. They also lead the league in those scenarios in rush EPA on defense. So yeah, when teams run it on third and fourth and 1 to go, it does not go well. They gave up 1 touchdown. When was that? Was that Kyron? Yeah, Kyron scored in week 11, and they gave up a 55-yarder. I forget who that was against. I think the Cardinals maybe. So yeah, they are elite. You know, they give up the lowest number of first downs per attempt in this. Every number says that they are. So yes, the numbers suggest that if in the playoffs a team gets in third and fourth and 1, bet on the Seahawks to get a stop, which is an amazing like cheat code to have. It's like the inverse of the tush push. How that was a cheat code on offense for the Eagles. The Seahawks are essentially a cheat code in the other direction. It's really, really, really impressive.
This is from Casey Reynolds. Do you think the Seahawks leadership is high enough on Connor O'Toole that they see him as a legit replacement for Boye Mafe next season? Or do they need to draft and sign a replacement?
Yeah, I'm glad somebody asked about Connor, because if you guys have noticed, they have lost some guys to the waiver wire here. Guys that they expected to get back. They thought they'd get back, like Jarek Reed. I don't know if they thought they'd get back Darion Kendrick, who they waived and got picked up by the Rams. They just waived somebody else. So DeAnthony Bell, waived him, got picked up by Carolina. These are guys they wanted back. And they were the reason you waive some of these guys because you feel like they're clear waivers, like in fantasy football, and you can sign them back. Well, no. And so every time they do that and they lose a guy, I'm just like, why wouldn't you waive Jared Ivey? Why wouldn't you waive Connor O'Toole? And the answer I found is, well, they think those guys can be some dudes, and they don't even want to subject them to the waiver wire. They're like, we'll run the risk of cutting Jarek Reed or Darion or DeAnthony Bell. So yeah, the answer to this question is it's one that people probably aren't thinking about much, but if you notice on like, man, you're like, Mike, Chris, why do we keep cutting guys and then losing them to other teams if we want them back? That's a great question. I've wondered that all year. And yeah, I found that they believe in Jared Ivey, Connor O'Toole, because these are guys that aren't even active on game day half the damn time. So I'm like, why are you cutting them? The answer is they believe they can be something. And you know what, Chris, I'm not really in position to like, I do think there's value in that. And I trust the development, of these guys. If you believe in them, then maybe could be something. Maybe they're the next Drake Thomas. Drake was just, a guy I would have probably said a year ago, you can just cut him. Yeah, look at Drake. Maybe that's Connor O'Toole, maybe that's Jared Ivey. So that's why those guys have been around. If you've been wondering like why they keep those guys around, but are cutting some of these other guys and losing them to other teams, even though they want them around.
This is from Pratik. Name one thing that the offense and defense needs to do better going in the postseason. P.S. You can't say offense, don't turn the football over because Mike McDonald said so. All right.
Yeah, that takes that.
No, it does.
Let's see. I have. I'll just do the defense one. You can, if you have something for the offense. Yeah.
Establish the run game. Can you effectively run the football? Mike detailed it last week on One Big Thing, talking about just guys getting a hat on a hat, mano a mano. Can you just get in front of the guy and put hands on him? And that creates running lanes. Now it's up to your running back to hit that lane and do what he needs to do. Running over a guy, making a guy miss. They pay you a lot of money to do a couple of things. Run the football, don't fumble it, make a guy miss, score touchdowns. If the Seahawks can go out there and execute on those blocks, getting in front of their guy, playing physical football, that's a check right there. What do you got defensively?
I just want to see him rest the passer a little better. I thought it was really good against the Niners, but prior to that, it hadn't been what I thought, especially because we watch film of whoever they're about to play, before that game, and I look at them be under duress, and I'm like, oh, the Seahawks will kick their ass, and then they just don't. At least not to the extent that I thought. I thought they would harass Bryce a little bit more. That was really just D-Law that day. Now that was enough to beat them, but I thought that more guys would just be taking turns just tossing Bryce around like they did Brock. They were beating Brock's ass back there. I thought they would do that more to like Bryce. I thought they would do that more to Phillip Rivers. I thought they would do that more to Matthew Stafford in the Week 16 game. These are guys that they did not pressure with much regularity at all. They didn't sack Stafford. They basically didn't sack Phillip Rivers. They only got, I think, one sack on Kirk Cousins, for instance, in that game they beat up on the Falcons. So I think that's the thing I'd like to see a little bit more consistently. Obviously, they got to like Brosmer. But I thought they actually could have been better at getting Cam Ward on the ground, for instance. In that game, they got 4 sacks in that game, but Cam was avoiding sacks at a higher clip than I thought he would have going into that game. So that will be my thing for the defense. Not like it's bad. They think they're top 10 in sacks or something. But in the playoffs, I would like to see them turn that up a notch, particularly if they play the Rams. Because we have seen, Chris, what happens if they don't get to Stafford. It will get ugly. UGLY ugly.
This next one is from Holly, another one of our lovely lady supporters, along with E and tons of others. But as I mentioned, we got our first voicemail from a lady. So that was first time. So let's see if we can get more moving forward. Holly is asking, if you're a veteran in the Seahawks locker room, what is the advice you tell the rookies about going into the postseason? And part 2 is, what would be a good 2025 Seahawks theme song if you got to choose?
I'll go with the theme song first because that's simpler. I was going to go with, I spent way too much time on this, but I would just go with We're Not Done by 42 Doug. That's D-U-G-G if you guys want to look it up. 42 is how it looked, like 42 Doug, but it goes by 42. Anyway, go look that up. It's very perfect for the theme of this team. Like every time they do something, they're like, we got more to do. So it's very, go listen to that song. My advice, if I was a vet, and I hope that Cooper Kupp and Ernest Jones, I think those are the only guys that have Super Bowls on the team. I hope that they're sharing this with their teammates is don't make anything up. We got here because we're good at football. It's just be good at football. Don't try to do nothing new because it's the playoffs or it's prime time or hey, don't make anything up. We're good enough as we are. That's why we're here. Don't make nothing up. When I play in a flag football championship, I tell those guys the same thing. I just played in one in the Turkey Bowl this year on Thanksgiving. I told my guys, I got in the huddle. I was in my Ray Lewis bag. I got in the huddle and I was like, we're in the championship for a reason, right? Just be us. Now I did change our coverage rules, but I was like, yo, just be us and we'll be fine. And this was a bunch of strangers. I knew one guy on that team before that day, but they understood what I was saying. And we went out and we beat the team that won like the last 5 Turkey Bowls. So that would be my advice to those guys. Don't matter if it's the playoffs or week 1. You're the number 1 seed because you're good at football. Don't make anything up. Be you. Whoever you are, be Reek, be Spoon, be Charles Cross, be Abe, be Jalen Sundell. Just be you. And you is good enough today. Just be you and we'll win this game.
The song I would go with is Rick Ross Hustling. Because, boy, them dudes is grinding it out. And they're not done yet. They think they got some things that they want to get done. And the Seahawks have this season, as you guys have noticed, they've won in a lot of different ways. Defense, close games, special teams, not to mention they're road warriors. So Every Day I'm Hustling by Rick Ross. Everyone should be familiar with that song because, come on, man. That was prime Rick Ross. Not that he's not prime anymore, but that's when he was fresh on the scene and he was just dropping hit after hit. So give me Hustling Rick Ross. Let's see. This next one, got a few more. Mike, what's the game day schedule of a Seahawks beat writer? Does it depend on location? And that's from Eric Wall.
Appreciate you, Eric. Yeah, it definitely does. I won't go through every city, but like if I'm at home, I just try to spend as much time with my kids as possible and then just get to the stadium at like the last second, unless I'm selling books. Then I'll get there early. Otherwise, like if you guys see me tweet the inactives, chances are I'm in traffic. Like I ain't there yet. when sometimes I tweet that stadium picture right before kickoff. I done just walked in. I try not to do that on the road, but yeah, at home, spend time with my kids. Um, on the road, yeah, I'll wake up. It depends on like the city, yeah, traffic. Some cities are just trash in terms of trying to get to the stadium, but sometimes I get a workout in, eat at the hotel. If they're playing a night game, maybe I'll go to like a spot for brunch and like watch football if there's like a sports bar nearby. Like when they play the Commanders, for instance, but oh hey, it's a night game. The night games don't start till 8 o'clock. I got all day to kill, Then I can just go do something, go hang out, go see the city. I didn't do that in DC, but when they've played like night games in like Pittsburgh or Philly, for instance, can do stuff like that. Let's see. Depending if I went out the night before, I might just sleep. But it's pretty rare that I actually like explore the city. For the most part, I'm relaxing. I'm watching ball. I really just like watching football. I love when they play a night game and I can just watch football all day and with no kids around. Just sit there and watch Red Zone at a brunch spot or something, or I know a homie in that city and I go link up with them. Yeah, I try to do a non-game day thing. I usually try to go catch an NBA game if I'm in town. Chris knows I just had the mispleasure or the displeasure, the misfortune, I guess, of I went to that Warriors game on Friday before the Seahawks game. Go Google the starting lineup from that Warriors game that I paid way too much to see. So I will try to catch NBA when I can. I'll try to do that if they go to the Super Bowl as well. So yeah, my routine depends, but on the road, I'm chilling, watching ball, working out, eating. And then at home, yeah, guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'll show up 15 minutes before kickoff, right when the anthem playing or something. Because just the more time with my kids as possible, that's what I like to do.
This last one comes from Cool Hand Luca. Mike, now that you're a father, who are your top 5 Seahawks you'd pick to babysit the kiddos?
I thought this question was hilarious because it reminds me of that Stephon Diggs moment where the Vikings be like, which guy you want to not date your sister? Which is a crazy question because it's like, dog, who are you? Like I have a daughter and a son. My son does not have any say on who my daughter dates. Like, why your opinion does not matter. Anyway, so go Google that video if you haven't seen it. But yeah, this was a fun one. So actually, I'll throw 4 players and a coach. My coach would be Carl Scott. He's a girl dad like me. We talk about kids. I show each other pictures of our kids and stuff like that. He's a good dude. Players, if you don't have kids, hell no. Like all the young guys, so I feel like be outside. No. Like, let's give an example. Like Jack's not watching my kids. I'm good. I don't even know if he's good with kids or has little siblings or nieces and that. Don't matter. I need other parents. So like Julian Love is a parent. I think he's expecting another kid for him. Congrats. Cooper Kupp I think he has multiple kids. Married, kind of get, I'm sure he's changed some diapers before. Ernest Jones is a boy dad like me as well. Quandre has boys. I think he has at least one boy. I think 2 girls. He's out there just churning them out. So like the other dads, that I would trust them, particularly if you're a father of multiple kids. Drew Lock just had a second baby. Congrats to him and his wife. So the other dads. Now these single guys who probably just kicking it. No. Like Reek, not watching my kids. No way in hell. I need the other dads to have my back. I wouldn't even have Chris. I wouldn't have Mike McDonald do it. It doesn't sound like Mike McDonald knows where the diapers are in his house. Like every time we ask about it, he just is shouting out Steph, his wife, for being a superhero. So it makes sense. He's the head coach of a team trying to win a bowl. I wouldn't change no diapers either. But yeah, I'm not even letting Mike watch. Hell no. Shout out to all the dads on the team, especially dads who have multiple kids, like Quandre, Julian, Julian just announced. Yeah, guys like that. Shout out to y'all. I'll trust y'all. Everybody else, hell no.
Well, that's a good way to end the show on that one. Who would Mike trust to watch his kids on the Seahawk roster? I know Spoon wouldn't get a shot. He'd be yelling at your kids.
Yeah, no, none of the young boys who don't have kids who just be, even if they're not like an outside person, like I don't think Spoon like parties or anything, but still no. I need you to know how to like know what cries mean what, how to do feeding and all that. Yeah. So yeah. Shout out to all my dads out there who know exactly what I'm talking about. Change a bunch of diapers. I'm potty training my daughter right now. It's awful. So yeah, shout out to my dads out there, man. It's a grind. But yeah, so only parents can watch my kids. Yeah, hell no.
You heard it here first. So if any Seahawks players see this, well, now you know where you stand with Mike and watching potentially his children. But Mike does have a book out. Mike, go ahead and plug.
Yeah, this should be out on social media by the time this podcast drops. I just got another shipment of hardcovers of my book, The Franchise Seattle Seahawks. So if you want a signed copy, I am flush with copies. Amazon is out. Hit me directly. DMs are open. I can get your books. I can sign them to you, or I can sign them, ship them to you. So hit me up, please. If you just want to buy copies online, that's fine too. Barnes and Noble has stock. So basically, only two people have hardcovers in bulk: me and Barnes and Noble. So hit one of us up, and you can get a book.
There you have it. We appreciate all the love and support, whether it's Instagram, TikTok. We just reached 800 followers on TikTok, so we appreciate all you guys out there on YouTube. Hey, y'all. I'm pretty sure we're about 70 away from 5K. Come on now.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I know there are people listening right now. They're like, oh, I still haven't done it. Hop your ass on YouTube right now. Go and hit subscribe. We appreciate all the love and support. Even all those comments saying I'm a listener, but I'm subscribing. Appreciate you. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. Anything I'm missing? Follow us on Seahawks Man to Man on Instagram as well. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see we can follow me out on Twitter and Blue Sky, as well as Mike as well. We will come back with standout plays on Friday morning. Other than that, Mike, is there anything I'm missing?
No. Enjoy your week. We'll catch you guys on Friday. Then no playoff game this week. Yeah. So just enjoy your week. Have fun. We'll catch you Friday. Peace.